All right, so I've opened it again and I'm going to start letting people in again. So this is a second opening of this first class because I needed to reset the sharing settings. So if you're watching this recording and it's starting like this, it's because I have asked everyone to sign out and sign in again. All right, so everyone's coming in. Perfect. And all right, everyone's popping in one after the other. So hi, Molly, you joined us right when I was asking everyone to re-sign in. Nice to see you. I didn't get a chance to greet you. I'm letting everyone in. Okay, cool. Admit. And I hope this worked. I hope I didn't have to close it from the other end. All right. And I want to confirm that it's working. Can somebody again just click on the share and see if perchance it says you can't? Nope, you can share. Yay, it's working. Thank you, Dorothy, for checking on that. And yes, it's working. Okay, so now let me sign in from this other account and start the video on that one, but stay only as a co-host. All right, cool. Is everyone back? Let me change again Mary Ferris's name, since I had changed it once. I need to change it again. Mary Ferris, iPhone, cool. Molly. All right, is everyone back and does everyone have their names? Let me add Yolanda's again. Sorry, has everyone seen, now I'm having a blank on the name of that movie, Groundhog Day, where everything happens again and again. This is a Groundhog Day. It's like, hello, let me change your names. And here we go. Okay. I haven't thought of that movie in so long and the name wasn't coming out, but the events I was remembering of being repeated again and again were happening. Okay, cool. We're set. Sorry about that. Let me now share my screen. I'm going to close this guy because I have my settings open still. And cool with that. All right, so share my screen. If you have, the last thing I said before I went into the share screen mode was to please have your Photos app opened all across all your devices. And I was about to share my entire screen to start with to show you how to open the Photos app. And so if you have your dock available down here and you see this colorful flower, that's the icon for Photos. Now, if you don't have it in there, so one single click on that would work. But say that you do not see that icon in there. Another way to open it would be to go to this top right end of the screen. Let me put a little bit of a color. I'm going to put an arrow to show you where. Right there, there, that guy, the search button, go to that one. And when you click on it, you'll get this little thing called Spotlight Search. Go ahead and write Photos. And then it'll show you Photos app. Go ahead and click on that. And that's the way to find and open a photo that you cannot find in there. So now I'm going to clear that little arrow and I'm going to ask you to do that also in your phones, which I'm not going to share right now. I'm assuming everyone knows how to open it, but you know what? Maybe I don't, because in fact, even my husband doesn't know. So let me actually stop, because a lot of people think that sharing that their photos are in the same place as the camera, and it's not. So let me share my phone. And at least, and I'm just talking for the experience that I have here with my husband, is that whenever I ask him, hey, can you show me the photo from last week? He goes back into the camera, right? And maybe that's what you guys do. He goes into the camera. Why? because at the bottom of the camera right there, if you click on that, it takes you to photos, and then you can kind of see the photos and you got, but it's such a roundabout way. It makes absolutely no sense to do that. So the way to do it, instead of going through the camera, clicking again and clicking away, is finding the actual photos icon on your phone. So once again, if you see it, click on that one and it'll just open up. But say that you don't see it, then how do you open something you don't see? Then either go down to this little search icon right there. And if you don't see that search icon, depending on the model, you can put your finger in the middle of this home screen, push it down a little bit, like gentle pull, and then the search will be there. Then you type the word photo and very quickly the photos will appear over there, and that's where you click on it. So right now we will have it, now it's warning me that I'm running out of iCloud storage. Remember, I only have 5 gigabytes. So it's good that it's doing this so you guys can see. If you run out of storage, new photos and videos that I take on this phone will not be synced to the iCloud. So it's saying, hey, get more storage. I can't, this is a school app, so I'm not going to, but if I were to click on that, it takes me to the account where it says, okay, start paying now 99 cents a month. And it's pre-selected, which is 1 up from free. And I would click on upgrade. And the moment you upgrade, it's being called up iCloud Plus instead of iCloud. I'm going to say not now because I can't upgrade the school's account. And what I need to do is I got to delete some photos, but that's okay. I will do that. And then I'll be in compliance again. I put enough photos to have a library that we can have something to work on. But yeah, but sometimes I need to have more space. To have more photos deleted in order for the computer to have more space. All right, I do want to say that just about, I'd say you're, other than the special projects, slideshows and videos and stuff like that, just about everything else that you can do on your computer, you can do also on your phone or on your app. Okay, so it's just the special projects that you can't actually create from scratch on your phone. We'll get to that when I get to it to show you. Other than that, oh, let me let some more people in. Other than that, you can do just about everything. All right, so since I'm sharing the phone, I'm going to start with the phone. First of all, scrolling down, like up like that, or up. I don't put in your, when I say going up, moving your finger upwards gives you the last photo. And that last photo will be the last photo that you took. And I took this one in class when we were in class last week, June 21st. Today is June 28th. So 7 days ago, I took this photo. Okay, I'm going to kind of back out. And that's the last time I took a photo on this phone. So that's my newest photos. It's at the bottom of the list. Over here, notice that I've got this little kind of summary that the photos that I am seeing. So between this and that, the span of the photos that are visible on this screen, that's what it means, spans from January 18th to June 21st. As you can see, I don't take many photos with this, and so it's a big span. Some of you guys might have just had an event where you took a ton of photos. For example, on my real phone, I just took a lot of solstice photos. So I actually would have a ton of solstice photos here and nothing else. So it would just pretty much, it would span just the one day. But this is the span, and that's because this top photo that I have here was taken when I was this winter when we went over to Tahoe, and that's a photo from Tahoe. And then this is the one I took the other day. So everything here spans that time. And it also gives you a little idea of where you were. So had I only been here in Santa Barbara, it might just say Santa Barbara. But since these photos are from, this is Berkeley, because I took my kid to Berkeley this last weekend. This is my home, and this is Taos, right? Then it just says Berkeley and more. It doesn't list them all because it's too much variation. Okay, so that's like a little subset of what's here. So now I'm going to scroll down, and you see how that's changing. As I scroll down, Now it's changed to November 26, 2021 and July 12, 2022. So that's the span between that photo and this photo. Does that make sense? It's just giving us an idea. And this one does say Santa Barbara East Side. Most of these photos are from there. This one says Santa Barbara Waterfront. Now it says, let me see what else is going to say. So a lot of these say Santa Barbara Waterfront, Old Mission, Santa Barbara, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, so that's spanning July 23, 1983 through June 2017. Now, how possible is this? Did I ever take a digital photo in 1983? What do you guys think? 1983 digital photos. Does that sound like it makes sense or not?
Nope.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. So what's happening is that you can redate photos. And the photo it's referring to is this one up there. I'm going to go ahead and click on it. And it's this photo, and that is me and two of my girlfriends. I think this is high school. Yeah, it's some trip we did in high school together. So this is a scan. This is a photograph of the photo, right? At that time, there were no digital photos. So we scanned this one in, or in this case, I probably photographed this one. And so when it popped in, it said, I don't know, October 2022. That's the day I scanned it in. And it would have popped in October 2022. But I wanted it to have the right date. So I changed the date. And you can do that on the phone, or you can do that on your computer. Let me just show you how to do it on a phone. If you want to find a photograph, whichever, maybe a throwaway photo that you can change the date on, it doesn't matter. Or see if you have a scan somewhere that you can access quickly. I haven't shown you yet how to access things quickly. Just grab any photo. Is one that's not too good. That way, if you kind of lose it in the space, it doesn't matter. And then let's find out more about this photo by, holding. There's a feature that if you hold onto it, it cuts, and I'm trying to do that. Push it up. See, I'm putting my finger right there. Let me do that again. I select it to open it, and then I'm going to grab it and just with my finger, this is my finger, pull it up. That's all I'm doing. And now there's all this information about this photo, including I wrote graduation trip 5th year. So that's my senior year in high school, I guess is what I wrote up. I don't think this was senior year, in fact, but never mind. I wrote that. And that's in Spanish. And then I dated it August 23, 1983, which is actually not the day of my graduation. I was just putting in something that put it in about the right year. And I believe this was maybe 1983. So if I think I got it right or wrong, all I need to do is adjust. So this here is where you adjust the date and time of a photo. So I'm going to click on adjust, and everyone go ahead and do that. Get yourself a photo that you want to adjust, and it's going to let me go over here and say, change the time. So I can go over here and tell it, no, it wasn't in 1983, it was in 1982. So I'm going to go ahead and, so here's actually original. There it's telling me when I scanned it in. I scanned it in July 23rd, 2021. It's grayed out. And I've adjusted it to 1983. You see that? But now I'm going to adjust it again. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to click here on this little arrow for 1983. And I'm going to choose that it was in 1982. Right? Or I can go here and tell it, no, that was 1984, and so on and so forth. So you can change. Once you adjust it again and you like the time, now you go ahead and say, ding, adjust. And so now my photo appears as a 1984 photo. So this is great to do with scans, okay? Now, here I'm doing one at a time. If you went and sat down and scanned, 40 photos of old albums that you wanted to keep, you wanted to digitize on your computer, you can grab 40 photos and change their dates all at the same time, okay? But on the phone, you're limited to doing it one by one. All right, so any questions about this? Did anyone, was everyone able to change the date of one photo? I kind of said a throwaway, that way if you put a day on it that's kind of miscellaneous or weird, it wouldn't matter. So give me a yes. I'm seeing a little thumbs up there. Give me a little green yes if it worked for you. Give me a no if you tried and it didn't work. Or give me a no if you didn't even try, just so that I know who did or didn't do it. All right. And now if it didn't work for you and you want me to help you, then let me know. So I'm going to just call on you. Mary Lee, do you want to give it a try or you're fine?
I have an older phone, a 6S, and it maybe that's why it only says add a caption when I put my finger there and move it. So
yeah, that's possible.
Okay.
In fact, my husband has a 6S and I could ask for it and test it, but I'm going to trust that it's true that it's quite a bit older. Thus, it you know, every time the phones advance, they have different capabilities. And so it's possible that when you look up, you just have adding a caption, which by the way, you probably don't even have this map down here, right? In yours, I would think.
No, it just says people. That's
yeah, yeah, that's fine. Well, that's just, you know, those are the advantage. When you come to a class like this, you get to decide whether this is something that you want so much that, hey, maybe it makes worth it to update. And if it's a minor thing that, forget it, that's great, I won't bother. Because remember, we're all going to be able to adjust it on the computer. Okay, this is just how to do it on the phone. All right, so when I'm done adjusting, by the way, you can also adjust the address. So this is, I'm from Argentina. This was in Buenos Aires. So say that you scanned it in when you were living in Santa Barbara, but the photo was taken in New York or in, you know, in England or whatever, then you can also click on this and adjust the location, right? So you would just change over here the location. I'm going to go ahead and say cancel to that because I don't want to adjust that, but just showing you that not only how to adjust, but how to find information about this photo. So now we can go to any other photo and I'm going to click on this photo, for example, and this, my little guy is now 16 years old. He's not little anymore. He's humongous. He's this big beast of a kid. But he's so cute down here. And I remember that this was taken in Death Valley. This is the, I don't remember the name, but the salt fields in the Death Valley. So I'm going to scroll up a little bit on this one. So put my finger in there. And this is a little caption, right, that I wrote. And again, this is a caption that I wrote, and I believe I all did it in the computer. And right now, if I just click on it, I can, you know, keep writing. I can just do a few more writings there. But if you don't have a caption, right, if you don't have one, then this would be a place where you could click in and add a little caption. Again, these are things that I would just tell you that I would do from the computer, but some people don't like handing things from computers. So I'm showing you how you can do it here in the computer. Again, time, adjust, and where was it? Death Valley. So this one is correct. Now it's also telling me what camera took it, right? And so this is a little mini digital camera that we had, a little kind of point and shoot that we had in 2010. And it gives you the camera and lens information, pixels, all this kind of thing. Probably doesn't matter to this day unless you're going to print it, then you need to know this number there. Other than that, that's just the camera information, which a photographer might use to, oh, how can I shoot it better? But for the rest of us, it probably doesn't matter. Okay, so that is another thing that you can do, add a little caption. So most of my photos don't have captions, but now and then there's a particular one that I treasure and I might have added a caption. So here's that same little kid on top of our big turtle. And so on this one, I didn't put a caption. So now it says add a caption, right? So I can click in there and I'm going to write Joaquin is the name of my kid on, or writing. I'm trying to type with outline. Joaquin writing Tuga, which is the name of our turtle. Okay, so then I go up here to the top and I say done, and oh, it wasn't Tuba, so I'm gonna, I was a typo. I get in there again and I say Tuga, and then done up here. Click on done, and now I have added a caption to this photo. Okay, so as simple as that. So you can do, this is the metadata. I'm going to talk about metadata quite a bit. Metadata, DATA. Some people call it metadata. And it's basically the information that comes with the photo that has nothing to do with the image itself. It's file name, date, address, position, that kind of information. That's the metadata of a photo. When we pull down again, we hide the metadata and we just enjoy the photo. All right. Yolanda, your hand is up. You have a question?
Yes, but I tried when you said who succeeded and who did not. I was one of those who said no, I did not succeed.
Okay.
Like I was, when you say pick up a picture and correct the date, and so I pick up a picture and it was classified in 1969, and we were not even here in 1969, and so I was going to change the date that would look like 1973 or 74, and so I went to the one where you said metadata, where we can, and I did not succeed, so I don't know how.
Okay.
What.
All right, so let me show you. And the one thing is that when I share the phone, you can't really, students can share your computers to me, but not your phones to me. So all I can do is demo it again. And if it's still not successful on the phone, I am going to go ahead and do that in the computer, and you can change that photo in the computer. But basically, select your photo that you want to see, right? From all of these, I'll grab this one, and then just push it up. And here's where you have that information. And I believe you have a newer phone. So you would have to go over here to next to the date and hit that little adjust date right there. And that's what would give you the chance to change the phone. So I'm going to do that one more time. You would first, you have to put your finger gently, not hard on the photo, just gently, and just kind of pull it up. That's all you need to do. Then you would see the address and the date and all of that. Did you see that now, the adjust? Did you find that adjust in there, that little guy?
You go ahead, because I am on my phone and I'm also on my laptop, and when you said, so when you said pick up a picture, and I mean, and
okay,
about over
so,
pictures, and so
yeah, it might be overkill and not necessary to do it here on the phone. But when I say pick up a picture, are you seeing your photos in this mode or in a different mode? Because remember, and maybe I should have emphasized that this mode, to see it the way I'm showing it, you would have to be selecting all photos and library. Because if you maybe have selected months, I've opened a photo, so I need to get out of this mode. I have to go and click on this arrow again. If you were maybe looking at months, it would look like this, or you're looking at years, it would look like that. If you're looking at days, it would look like that. So it's under this, all photos, that you see all the photos in this mode, right? So first check on all photos there, and then make sure that you're in library and all photos. If you're in albums, you're also seeing something different, and then for you. So all of these show you something different. So library, all photos. Then you should be seeing the photos this way. Is that so now? So all photos over here and library over there. Once those two selections are there, then you can select something and adjust. So when I say select, you just click on, I'm going to scroll all the way to the top again. And I was using this cut. By selecting, all I do is just touch this photo, boom, and it gets bigger. Once it's bigger, that's where you just pull it up a little bit, and that's the metadata of this photo. And this one doesn't have a location, so I can add a location. I can change the date. I can add a caption. All right. Tell me, Yolanda, did that work a bit better or not yet? I can't hear you. I'm sorry, you're muted. I see your mouth moving. By the way, when I'm talking to Yolanda, the expectation is that you would all, especially those of you for whom you said it didn't work, that you would be trying it yourselves. And unless your photo can't do it, maybe like Marily's, then you would have been able to do it, because I'm repeating the process here. And if you already changed the time, then open another one that doesn't have location and then go here and add a location and try that one. Just play around with these things while I help people do this. Okay. So are you talking, Yolanda? Because I can't hear you. Is it my sound that's a problem?
No,
There you go. I can hear you now.
okay.
I can hear you now. Okay.
They were imported, like it was a picture sent on my message, and I imported this. Does it make a difference? That's why I am having a hard time making it move.
No, it shouldn't. But why don't you leave that picture, because it might be the picture. So I'm saying it shouldn't without really knowing, and then maybe click on one that isn't imported, and then pull up and see if in that one you can find it. By the way, this is again the same kid who can sleep in any position in the world, and he is truly sleeping in this picture, which is kind of hilarious. But I'm gonna pull it up, and it seems like I can keep changing. Try it with a non-imported picture in case maybe that wasn't one of the problems. Meanwhile, you're researching that. I see Mimi has had her hand up. What's up, Mimi?
Well, my question is that child of yours that's sitting on the turtle, who you said is a very small now, is the turtle bigger than him now, or are they the same size?
Yeah, no, the turtle is huge. The turtle is it's a sulcata, it's a tortoise, not really a turtle, and it's I don't know, it's like 75 pounds. I don't know. It's about, look at my arms and the little pictures. It's yay big. It's humongous. And it was a bit smaller there, not much smaller than now, but he was really small. So, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm going to lower your hand, and I'm going to lower everyone's answers, except for Leon. You also said no. So Leon, did you get some clarification? Did it work for you now? You're not there, but I can hear you. Yeah.
I'm never going to do this on my phone, so I'm waiting for you to move to the Mac.
All right. Well, then that's a good answer.
Well, I'm waiting for you to move to the Mac.
Cool. And by the way, I'm changing Mary's name again because it keeps popping in and out. I get that. I get that sentiment of not wanting to do it on one or the other. I constantly have people thinking that they can't work on their photos because they only have to do it on the computer, and then they never work on their photos. And I'm going to show you basically that you can do it in either place. So Yolanda, if you can't reach it right now, don't worry. As I said, we're going to do it on the Mac. All right. And that's it. That's all I wanted to show you right now, that we're going to be, so in the years and all photos and how to get to the metadata. Okay. So that's the main thing I wanted to show you right now. There's other stuff I'll show you later on the phone. But for now, let's head over to the computer. And so now I'm going to do the exact same thing that we just did there, but I'm going to share my computer. There we go. So I'm in my photo library, and I am doing the exact same choices. I'm clicking on library over here and all photos over there. Okay. And with those two selected, then again, my bottom photo is my latest photo, which is this one. But how do I see the metadata for this one? How do I find out the same information that was seen on the phone for this one? Well, up here next to the old photos, and I'm going to put a little arrow on it now that I begun to do that. It's kind of fun to do it. It takes a bit more time, but it kind of makes it easier to point where right there. Okay. That little one here is showing the I for information. Click on that, and this window, whoops, it opened up in a different window, so I need to bring it in. This little window will pop in, and it tends to pop in a little bit on the side. I've put it here in front so that the window will share it, but usually it pops in a little bit to the right. This is the metadata for whatever photo is selected. So if this is the photo that's selected, this is the metadata. If this is the photo that's selected, this is the metadata. And the metadata, as you can see, has places where you can add things and other things that it's already telling you. So it's giving me add a title, right? So I haven't added a title yet, but I could click in there and add a title. Image name, okay, this is the file name. Date, this just happened this weekend. What phone was used? Add a caption. I could add a caption here, like smiling boy, and or a keyword. We're going to talk about keywords at length, not today, but it's the keyword is going to give us, make it much easier for us to find the files that we're looking for. So in real life, what's good is that if you finished a trip or something like that, and you come and look at the photos on your computer, before you forget, you can just select all the photos of that trip and add a keyword that'll be significant of that trip. It could say wedding, or, you know, it could say Berkeley, or it could say something like that. Now, Berkeley isn't a very good explanation because this already says Berkeley. It shows me exactly in the middle of the campus of the University of Berkeley, a little pinpoint of where that photo was taken. So I recommend putting keywords that aren't location based, because if the location has been recorded, that won't be necessary. I'll show you how to find things by location. But what I do recommend is having keywords that would be meaningless otherwise. The computer can't discover that this was a wedding or a birthday, right? So then you write, you know, birthday party or wedding or Christmas or stuff like that, that wouldn't be something the computer can pick up on, versus space, time, location, and time. That is something the computer can figure out for itself. Okay. So did everyone find the info? Click around on a couple of different photos and see what you can see. I'm going to scroll upwards a bit more. I'm going to click on this photo. And this happened right here in Santa Barbara at the Arlington Theater. I'm going to tell you what these things are in a minute. Not in a minute. During this class, you'll find out these little bubbles, what they are. For now, all I'm pointing to is date, location, time. Now, let's say that one of these was wrong, right? So say that I take this one here, which right now is just a screenshot. And if I want to change it, so I've selected this one. Okay, the one that says 8/26. Say that this is a picture that was taken not in March 8th of 2023, but it was actually taken in, I don't know, let's say March 8th, 2022. Say I want to correct that. Well, there's nothing I can do about it right now. See, I don't have the word adjust in here. That's not showing up. So I don't adjust it in the info window. I actually have to go adjust it by going up to my image menu and then adjust time and location. So let me share my entire screen so you can see my image menu. Give me a second here. I have to reshare my entire screen. There we go. So now that you see my entire screen, this photo, March 8th, 2023, this photo, I can adjust by going up. And I'm going to put a little arrow again to where I'm talking about. I'm going to go up to that spot. Oh, now it doesn't let me. Way up to that window area. There we go. This drawing these arrows isn't the most efficient way to do it, but to that word image right there. Okay, I'm going to go to the image and then adjust date, time, or adjust location, right? So I'm going to adjust date and time. And now here is where I get to do date, time. Okay, so I can say, well, it wasn't in 2023, it was in 2024. So I click on this here and I change that to 2022. So I just type that in and it tells me the original photo be adjusted by 1 year. You know, if I had changed this, maybe, you know, I'll put this at a different date. I'll say that this was April, right? It'll be adjusted by 8 months, 29 days, and 23 hours. So it's very specific for what the adjustment is going to be. But it's always going to have the original time on it, okay? And then you'll just say adjust. I'm noticing that I shifted, that I ended up picking this photo, and I don't want to adjust that date, so I'm actually going to cancel, because in drawing the arrow, I ended up selecting this photo instead of the one I was trying to select. So I'm going to do that again, and I'm going to now go to image adjust this photo, which is the one I was trying to adjust all along. And yes, I'm going to make this one be 2022. And this happened in April. And there we go. It'll be adjusted by 11 months. Now, the exact location, this is not where you adjust it. Here you wouldn't put, death value or whatever. What this down here is telling us is the time zone. Say that I took this picture and for some reason, because of time change and whatever, it's giving me the wrong date, and it might matter if it's a picture taken on New Year's Eve or on Christmas or something. It's a specific date that matters. But if you took it in another part of the world and your phone didn't adjust to it, it might show up as if Christmas happened, or New Year's happened a day earlier or a day later. So you can go over here and you can say, well, what's the closest city? And these are all time zone cities, right? So it's not detailed, but you can say, well, I took this and all of these are nearby us, or you can say, no, I took it way over here in China. So I'm clicking over here, China mainland. So then it's going to adjust and tell you the time, what day it was at the moment you took it in that place. Or I took it in Africa. So I'm just clicking around, or I took it in England or in Europe, or England is that little one, Glasgow, or I was in Alaska, or so on and so forth. Okay, so if you don't have the choices here, then you can just kind of click away and yeah, you were visiting the Amazons or whatever it is that you were doing. That just helps for the time zone. That's all. So I'm going to go back and click here, Los Angeles, and leave it there. And now I'm going to say adjust. So now it seems like the photo disappeared. See, it's not here anymore. It didn't disappear. It's just that this view is happening in order of date and time. The view that I'm telling you, which is library there, and all photos there is by date and time. So these photos are January 18th to June 17th of 2023. So I need to kind of scroll down until I get to over here, until I get to about April-ish. I said it was taken on April of 2022 or something like that, I believe. So I don't remember what date I'm not wrong. There it is now. It's showing up here. And I just scrolled using this number, this thing that says March. I kind of I knew I had put it a year ahead, and there it is, April 2022. And I'm looking at the photos that tell me I'm at about April 2022. Does that make sense? Raise your hands if it worked for you to adjust date and time on the computer, and then let me know if you have questions. I see Dorothy, your hand is up.
Yeah. I'm kind of stuck. Can you hear me? Okay. Yeah, I'm kind of stuck. I'm stuck on photos. I can't get to the library icon that you have. So I can't open any photo to adjust anything.
Okay, so you mean you can't click on this?
No, I don't have that.
Library?
It just says photos underneath.
Does it say all photos for you instead of library? Because if you have an old operating system, it would say all photos here. If not, let's go ahead and share.
I am using an old system.
Okay, an old system would say the word all photos instead of library.
No, it just says photos. So
Or
can
photos.
I share?
Some says photo, depending on the version, it could say just photos or all photos or library. That word has changed by versions, but it means exactly the same thing. So click on the word that says photos and you will see all your photos. If it says all photos, depending on your version, you will see all your photos. And if it says library, you will see all your photos. Okay.
I can't change
So that's fine.
when I do that.
Well, select one first. Select the one you want to change. Now go up to image, adjust date and time.
Oh, okay.
And that's when this window opens up.
It was grayed out before. Okay, I got that.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
good.
because you didn't have anything selected. So look, if I
Yeah.
have no photo selected and I go to image, it's grayed out.
Yeah,
It
okay.
only is accessible if you select a photo, then it goes, okay, I'll change it. Oh, and one more thing. This is where I said you could select a ton of photos, and I'm going to show you how to do this later, but I can select all these photos and adjust the date and time for all these photos at the same time, right? So that's what you would do if you have something that's completely wrong. You scan 20 photos and they all belong in 1975. So you select all of them, and then when you say image adjust date and time, it will affect all of them. All right. Good. Thanks for reminding me to mention that when I keep saying library here, as long as you guys have a different how do you call it, version, it might say different words, but it's always the topmost choice up there. And that's the same thing. All right, I thought there was a different hand that was raised. Did someone raise their hand and lower it? Because I saw another hand come up and now I don't see it. Okay, so okay, I'm gonna clear your feedback. Was everyone able to adjust date and time of a photo in the computer? And most importantly, has everyone been able to figure out seeing the info, right? So I showed you two things, seeing the info window, which is your metadata, and then I showed you how to change one item of that metadata. Now notice right now, it's not giving me any information about a photo. It's just setting photos library, 555 photos. That's because I have nothing selected. Again, it can't give me information about a photo if I don't select it. So I'm gonna select it now. And now it switches to give you information about this photo. And this, by the way, is an example. This is the one that I was gonna adjust because this says June 2023. And this one, clearly, when my kids were this young, I already told you how old this is, guy's 16, this is 20. So this is clearly wrong and I have to go back and change it. But since I already adjusted another one, I'm gonna not do that and spend my time talking about something else. But yeah, Mimi, you have a question?
What did you say that you hit to adjust multiple photos in the computer? You hold down what?
I'll show you how to select more. I'll show you in a minute. You have to select more, but that's something, that's a skill I'm about to show everyone. So yeah. So the first thing I wanted the next thing I wanted to show everyone, I need to move the Zoom tools out of the way and then move my photo because there we go. I needed to see that. I'm going to share again just the photos window so it's a bit less messy. There we go. All right. So right here, I am seeing these photos by order of time, and I cannot move them. I cannot say, I'm going to move this one and drag it somewhere else. It's going to go, whoop, it's going to go back there. Click and drag and put it there, whoop, because by default, there is no other option when you're seeing photos and library. It will only show an order of when it was taken. So it cannot put this one there because this was June 21st, June 17th, and this is June 21st. So it will always show, you cannot say, well, I'm going to group these together and group that together. So in order to group things together that you in a way that you prefer, for that, you're going to have to save everything in albums. So we're going to start talking about albums and creating albums and stuff like that in a minute. But just so you know, whatever you have in this view mode will be unequivocally sorted in order of date taken and nothing else. All right, one more thing about this view mode. You saw how in the phone I had little squares for photos, and this one I'm seeing that it's horizontal or vertical, landscape or portrait is what they call them. Well, if I would prefer to see just the squares as I did on my phone, I would go over here to this little icon. My mouse is now at the top over here, and click on that choice. That little icon there has shifted. So now my photos all look square, which kind of helps in it kind of looks better, so to say, when you're showing photos, you know, it kind of looks a bit more even and whatnot. But this is cropping stuff out of the photo. And sometimes it's not important, it's not crucial. But other times it might be like here, the whole funny thing about this photo is the head has been replaced by a tumbleweed, but the tumbleweed is kind of cut off. So if I were to see it, and now I'm going to go back and click on it that way. the entire photo, then you see that it wasn't cut off in the entire photo, right? So this is just a choice for you to make, whether to see in one way or another. All right, has everyone been able to change that? Let me clear your feedback. So right now we're just focusing on how we see photos, okay? So in order to see them in the right date and time, I showed you how to adjust date and time. That's it. There's much more to the metadata. And in case you have something completely anachronistic. And then other than that, everything can be seen in full size frame or in little kind of cutout square, a bit more, you know, looks a bit more magazine-y if you want mode. So I'm going to revert to this one. Why? Because in this mode, I'm also seeing titles, and you might or not see titles down there yourself, but I can see titles, and I'm going to show you how to show them if you can't, versus in this mode, I can't. And sometimes it's important for me to see that title. If I didn't put a title on a photo, it doesn't matter then. But if I did put a photo on the title, then this one's called There's on a Monster, or By the River's End. I would see them in this mode, but I wouldn't see them in that mode. Does that make sense? All right. Before I move on, you can do this on your phone as well. So it's the same icon. If you go to your phone, you can find that little icon on the top right. You can see them in this mode as a default. Everyone thinks is the only way to see them, but you could click on an icon that looks exactly like that, and it would change on your phone to this mode. That said, the phone has so little space that wasting space on white space kind of doesn't make sense. And it makes a bit more sense on the phone to see it this way. That way you see more photos on a screen without wasting so much white space time. All right. All right. Any questions? If there's no questions and you got it and you tried it and it worked, give me a yes. If you have questions or it didn't work, give me a no. I'm seeing a couple of yeses. All right. Now, even if you already knew how to do it, so you're just kind of listening sideways, go ahead and give me a yes or no when I ask. That way I don't have to stop and one by one ask you, hey, you didn't answer. Can you please answer, right? So just play the game and say yes or no. That way I move forward without stopping to answer people who don't answer. All right. Thank you. I don't want to call it play the game, but you know what I mean? I look up, I see greens everywhere, I continue. If I don't, I go, so Susan, well, how can I help you, right? All right. Now, one thing I want to emphasize, I don't want you to say yes if it didn't work for you, to avoid me calling on you, because that would be kind of, doesn't make sense. You're in a class, you're wanting to learn, right? So this is the place to ask. Later, when you're not in this class, you won't have anyone to ask. What did you say again? Can you repeat that? This is the time to ask. And I want to make sure that if I taught it, you were able to do it. And if you didn't do it, then I'll give you a hand to get it done. Now, if you specifically say, like Leon, well, I don't care about this right now, so that's why I don't want to know, that's good. Ideally, you can still say yes or no, but then I'll stop, asking you. But definitely, if you're trying to do it and it didn't work, do please ask. All right. So let's see. So those are the main things about this main view. Let me say that in this area here, there's a ton of other ways to see the videos under different selections. I'm going to explore that in a minute. But before I explore that, I want to make sure you guys still see a couple of the choices that are on top. First of all, next to this one where it turns square or full frame, you have a little slider, and this slider would make your photos look tinier or bigger, tinier or bigger. Let me let Fujian in. There we go. Right. So you can slide it, or you can click on the plus and minus, and then, whoa, it's showing them so tiny that can't even use them. A little bit bigger so I can scroll quickly through many photos, a tad bigger so that I can maybe see what's inside of them, right? And if I go really big, then I get a bigger preview, but it would be much harder to get a glance of, say, a whole trip or something like that, right? So I kind of opt for an in-between, state somewhere around there, maybe a little bit more in my personal stuff, because I see the photo and I remember exactly where it was. But in this class, because I'm trying to show you things, I actually go a little bit bigger and I have it at about this so that you can see things better. But I personally prefer to see them a little bit further out so I get a bit more of a glance at what I'm showing. Now, put it in whichever space it, it fits you better. And the reason I don't care about seeing them big is because there's a much better way to see them big. So I'm going to make this actually smaller. And now I'm going to say, well, I want to say this photo. And what's this photo? Well, it's a photo of my mom and my sister and a friend. And I'm going to go, are their eyes open or closed? Was this the good one? Was this the bad one? Well, I won't be able to tell if it's only a bit bigger. So what I need to do is make it much bigger. So I'm going to select it and touch my space bar. And boom, now it got really big. Now I can look at it and go, oh yeah, this is one where everyone has their eyes open, for example. And then I hit the space bar and it goes down again. Okay, so try that out. Select any photo that you have, hit the space bar, and then hit the space bar again. Now that makes it big or small, big or small. So here, hit the space bar. This, by the way, is my kids 2 years ago now. So it's the same cute little babies who are adorable. Not this one. This is a friend, a host daughter who's been living with us for 2 years, but she's not my daughter. But these two guys are the same little cute babies. And yes, I love and adore them, but you can't like exchange cute baby. Cute baby looks is always cuter. All right. So what if I don't want to keep going up and down? And then I want to see this one up and down. And then I see this one up and down. What if I don't want to do that? Well, I can just select one up with a space bar, right? And then I can start going sideways just by clicking over here with my mouse. See how there's nothing there. And then when I put my mouse over to the side, an arrow appears and I can click on it and then it lets me in. And it's kind of hard sometimes to have that arrow appear. So much easier than those arrows is going to the arrows on your keyboard. Bottom right of your keyboard, there's 4 little keys that have up, down, left, and right arrow. So now I'm going to use the right arrow to go to the next one, to the right and to the right and to the right and to the right. Yeah. So I'm seeing them all in big without having to go up and down and up and down. I'm using my right arrow keys. If I want to go up, I can use the up arrow keys and I kind of go to the next one up or down. This kind of helps me enjoy seeing them all in big without having to make them big up and down, up and down. But now I am going to say, okay, this is the photo that I want to work on or change or send to someone. Then I stop here or I hit the space bar to go down again and the selection will be there. And I had started with this one, right? But I moved through all of these with my arrows. All right. I want everyone to try that out and tell me if it's working. And if it's not working, give me a hey ho. If it's working, give me a yes. All right.
Dion, can you repeat that little process once again? I mean, you're arrowing up.
Yeah. To make it up, all I do is select the photo.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to select the photo. Then hit the space bar. That's it. Hit your space bar. And the photo becomes big.
Oh, okay.
As
I
simple
already
as
did
that.
that, but I thought you were doing something with the arrows.
Yeah. Once you're up there,
Yeah.
meaning it's big, I can now use the arrows of my keyboard to see the next one to the right by clicking on the right arrow. There it is. I'm now clicking on the right arrow. I'm seeing the next one on the right. I want to see the following one, right arrow again. I want to go back to the one I just saw. I go left arrow. Boom. I go back, left arrow. I go back to that one. Okay. So it's just, I navigate back and forth with my arrows. When I'm done seeing them big, I hit the space bar again and boom. I just navigated back and forth on these 4 using my arrow keys. Now, for those of you who want to see, again, I don't like that so much, but see this little arrow? I can go back on that one. And then if I find it here, up on that one. But the problem with that is that they don't show up. You have to put your mouse in the right area for it to show up. And you can spend hours doing this before it shows up, right? And then you can just click arrow, arrow, arrow to keep going sideways. But right now it's kind of hidden by my background and I wouldn't see it. Other times it's a bit more visible, but it's just not a very reliable way. So I prefer using my keys on my keyboard, and it's much more reliable. Got it? So if you forget which keys, you can always do it with your hand, but it's a much more reliable way to use the keyboard. That way you have, that way you don't have to hunt for that little right arrow key. Yeah, Rod, sorry, yeah, you are the first hand. Okay, Rod, your question? You're muted. You're still muted. Yesterday you had sound issues, but this time I think it's because you're muted. Go ahead and speak. Oh, nope, I can't hear you again. Yesterday we had this with you in class. For some reason it's gone back to being disconnected. I don't know what's up with your settings. Maybe you changed them for one setting only instead of changing them for the main settings. You had to go find your other set of speakers. I'm going to let you try to
bottom of left-hand side, it says mute and there's go.
Yeah, but it's not that. He's unmuted himself, and yesterday he had that issue. He had the wrong speaker settings and he managed to fix it, but he has to go into his settings, into that little arrow next to the record icon, and you need to change the settings of speaker. So I'll let you do that, or you can write to me the question in the chat. Meanwhile, I'm gonna keep going until you can be heard. Okay, Rod? All right. I'm gonna clear your answers because there was no other no's over there. All right, so now we know how to look at the photos in bigger version, which is why it's good to have these small, because this way it's easier to just go and appreciate just, oh, these are all from that trip. Oh, these are all from the visit. Oh, these are all from the parade. Oh, this is when I took photos of the garden flowers, you know, and you can see them all at once, and it's easier to then organize them. All right, I'm going to go ahead and now that I've switched to from library, we went to all photos is where I told you to start. How about now if we switch to days? So I'm going to click on days, and it's going to show you bigger photos based on just days. And right now it's making my biggest last photo really big. And I took this in class. I photographed my water bottle. Then after that, I have the photos of Berkeley. In the middle of that, this one has that date because I didn't adjust the date. But again, it's organized by time. But the computer is deciding to display it in a more, you know, display fashion where, again, instead of showing you them like tiny like that, by saying days, it goes June 18th, June 17th by day. It tries to make them look a bit more, if you want, magazine spread type of thing, where some are small, some are big. Sometimes it makes big one the one that you don't like and small the one that you do like. You can't really, you know, make that choice, but you can still, at this point you go, oh, let me see if this one's better than this one, right? Like there's two similar ones. So once again, I can select it and hit the space bar, make it big and make it small, or click this one, make it big and make it small, or just make both big and then still use my arrows to go back and forth on the two photos of the same place. And I decide, okay, I like this one better. And I pull it down, and in the end, it was the one that they had chosen to make bigger, right? And so on and so forth. So as I keep clicking down and hit the space bar, I'll go, oh, this one's a bit crooked. I'm going to put it in the, see how the horizon's crooked? It was a selfie and it's beautiful. I love the selfie, but the horizon is crooked. So if I want to perchance retouch it, this would be something that I could do when I'm ready to edit my photos and retouch photos. I can work on this one. So I'm gonna make sure to straighten it. Right now, I'm teaching you how to store, manage, and handle photos. Today, I'm not gonna teach you how to straighten or lighten or darken. So today we're not editing them, but this is just, before June 17th, the next photo is May 4th. Now here's the problem. This photo is kind of cut off. This photo was not meant to be a horizontal, but in the format that they're showing it, they ended showing it to me in horizontal mode. And this is definitely not a horizontal photo. I'm going to hit spacebar on that one. And that's the photo. See, it should have been a vertical portrait photo. By the way, if anyone perchance knew this amazing woman, Gloria Liggett passed away last week, and it was very important for her family. So we did a little tribute float on solstice and paraded her around. If anyone saw me at solstice parading a little thing full of flowers, this was Gloria. And anyway, so you don't get to choose, and it doesn't necessarily choose the best format because, as I said, here it's choosing exactly the wrong format. They just have a set photo and they just put photos in them based on the next photo, the next photo, the next photo, right? And so it might be perfect or it might not be perfect. Since when we show a door in a square? If it's a door, it should be vertical, right? So anyway, this is just a cute way to show it. And much more pleasant to say, oh, look at my trip. And you just do this. And it just looks much better than if you were showing them in this mode where no one can see them. Okay, so that's days. Any question about that before we move on to the next? Nope. Let's go to months. Now, instead of days, each little block is going to be a month. So in June 2023, and it's going to have one photo that the computer chooses, you don't, to represent that month. And if you go, well, I want to see what photos I took that month. Looks like there's only 2 days worth of photos. Then I can either click into this arrow like that, and it again shows me all the photos of that month, right? So that's one way to have gotten in there. You can go back to months. I'm going to go back to this month, or I can just select and double click. If I double click, it goes back again into days. See how I switched back to days? I was in months, but the moment I dig in, it selected days for me because that was showing me the day view. Okay, so I'm going to go down to a place where I have a lot of photos. So for example, this trip, it doesn't have only one place. This is just Los Angeles, January 3rd, but this is Nevada to New Mexico, January 8th to 19th. So there's a series of photos in here. So if I want to see them, I double click and here they are. These are all the photos from that trip. And so it just, again, is a way to display them. And if you're looking for a photo that you know was taken in, March of 2022, you'd have to scroll a whole bunch of time here until it says March 2022. But if you go to months, then really quickly you can scroll down and find, okay, June, July, March 2022. There I am, right? So it just helps you find your photos. If you have an idea, you go, oh, it was in summer a year ago, or it was in winter a year ago. Then you just kind of start searching that way. Does that make sense? As you can see, when it's a video, it also does a little preview of the video. This is the little library I have outside my house, and I was just taking videos of my little library. And we remodeled it. Actually, we have a better roof right now. But there you go. If I want to dig into them, I do like that. And here's all the photos of that month. So again, this is a search. It facilitates your search and your display because it looks a little bit prettier to display in this way or not. By the way, I keep showing this photo always because this is a photo that Yolanda shared with me in a class when we were in class once. And I'll show you how to share photos. But this photo in particular is one that I did not take, right? So when I click on it and I want some information from it, the way it arrived, I might or not have, see in my title info, I might or not have the same information that she has. I do have location. That one stayed with it when it was sent. I don't have camera information and stuff like that. I have, you know, the date it was taken. But sometimes when things get sent by, this because it was sent kind of correctly, I'm going to show you how to send things correctly and it retains some information. But if this photo had been texted to me, 99% of the times when you text a photo, it strips all the information. It does not have information left and you wouldn't know where, when, and all of that when it once it was a texted photo. So just not always, but sometimes it does that. Okay, just letting you know. Okay, so that was months. Now let's go back to years, and there you go. If you have to really quickly say, well, I want to go back to 20 or 1990, then you would just quickly do it this way, right? Because I mean, I don't know how far we go back on dates because digital photos didn't start until much later, but you might have dated them like this earlier, right? And if you dated them earlier, then you'll have like these two are the same one because I just changed the date on one in my example. That's why they're 1983 and 1984. But this is correct. This is a digital photo. And this little baby is my now oldest son who is 20 and it is now 2023. This one was truly taken in 2003. So I go, okay, let's see all the photos that I have from 2003. And again, I can dig in by double clicking or I can hit my space bar, right? Select that and hit, oh, I guess the space bar on this one doesn't work. Okay, the only way is to double click on it. I double click and here I am seeing all the photos of May 2023. And then since that's the only photo I have, it quickly switches me to 2004 because I just don't have any other 2003 photos, right? So that's, click and I get even more, double clicking, I get even more. By the time I keep double clicking on it, I finally get to the big version of it, okay? And if I hit my space bar, I can keep getting it bigger or smaller, okay? So, all right, so to get out of this mode, I either hit the space bar to get out of this mode and then I can see this again, or you can also use this little back arrow whenever you see it coming up and that backs you up. If you forget about the space bar, then you back up that way. Right, so that's years, months, days, and all photos. All right. Before I keep going with something new, let me just really quickly share my phone. All right, and here we go. Same exact thing down here. Photos, all photos, days, months, and years, no different, okay? So these choices there, if I wanna go and see year 2015, it's fastest to do this. If I wanna see within, the last year in May or in June, I go to months, and then I go and find last year that way. If I wanna see things day by day, I go to this one. And if I'm looking at every single photo, then I go to that one. And in this case, to back out of seeing it big, I go to this little arrow right there. And then I can go back to seeing them in small. Okay, so when I make a photo big and I want to go back to small, there's no space bar, right? So you go to this arrow and back out. And big is just touching it, right? I'm not doing space bar, I'm just touching it and it gets big. Arrow up there, boom, small again. All right. Touch, big, arrow, small. Now, one last thing, I see a hand raised, one last thing. If I don't want to go up and down this way, say that I click on this one, I don't want to go back down. The equivalent to going left or right with the keyboard here, all I need to do is scratch to the right with my finger. I'm just putting my finger and scratching to the right. Fingers and oops. I'll show you that feature right now. Finger and move to the right, or right up to find the metadata, or oops, I'm looking, it's like working with a mirror. Left to see the one to the left. I'm just pushing my finger to the left, or right to see the next one to the right. Last thing I could do, I could come here with my finger, right, if I wanted to, and grab this and drag it much quicker, right? So I'm putting my finger in here and I'm quickly going through all these photos, and it's a much faster way to scan. So that's this little film strip that appears down there, which right now is giving us a little bit, it's making us dizzy because I'm going so fast, but that's this bottom strip, okay? Or one by one, like that. All right, I'm gonna back out with this arrow into the all photos, and now I'll take some questions. Meanwhile, everyone give me a yes if you were able to navigate in your phone amongst all the photos by date. Everything we're doing is by date. That's the only thing. There's no other navigation, no other selection. It's by date. If you got it and you can do it on your phone, give me a yes. Yes, Yolanda.
So I followed you by, I'm now on my laptop, not on my iPhone, because my, so, and I followed you on the days. And when I click on the days, it's completely out of whack. In other words, like the 1969 is actually supposed to, in other words, so this is, to me, happened every time I update, like from Catalina to Ventura or to Monterey. This happens all the time, so that I got tired of even looking at them. I mean, so I have a hard time finding pictures. So should I just let it go and leave it live it L-I-V-E, leave it?
So the quick answer for that, and by the way, we're about to go on break, so I'm going to answer this one and then we'll take a quick break. When in the past you changed, like you've had the iPhotos for many years, iPhotos, every time you update it, really did mess up dates and time. It wasn't a very good, it kind of messed things up. Ever since we switched to photos, which was many years ago at this point, it got better. But yes, every time you update your operating system, there's a chance that it does mess up some of the organization, some of the day. I haven't had it mess mine up in quite a few years, quite a few updates. Everything has been okay, but I'm not going to say that, promise that it doesn't happen. So the best thing you can do is kind of have a time machine where you save the photos the way they were before. And when you update, if something is really messed up, you still can go back to that file. But yeah, ideally, as I said, I haven't had issues with my updates in quite a few years, but yes, if you have, then maybe it's because of things that have been set up by you way in the past, like you made folders way when it was iPhotos, and now it still is messing up when it comes to the new stuff, you know? Maybe what you need to do is show me an example of that, and I can be more specific in my answer. But yeah, updating for your operating system always updates your photos version. And thus, when you update your operating systems, there can be places where there's glitches and, you know, stuff kind of messes up. So yeah, it's not a very comforting idea, but as I said, the best comforting thing I have is that in my case, it hasn't glitched it in quite a while. So that's not a very specific answer, but that's the best answer I can give you right now. Okay. Let's take a break. It's 2:32. Let's take 15 minutes. So 2:32, 2:42 would be 10 plus 5 would be 2:47. So let's be back at 2:47 p.m. and I think I got that right. And there's my note. I'm going to stop my share and see you guys in 15. All right, we're back. Go ahead and here we go. Let me set up my how my chat became humongous. That's smaller. There we go. So I'm turning on the video on my second camera so you guys can see me a bit better, but I have to have the video on this one, otherwise my sound seems to come from a blank spot and that got confusing for people. I guess I could turn my sound down to this one. I don't know. But yesterday I had a class that was getting a bit wavy on the connection, was beginning to get a little bit fuzzy, in which case I'll turn one of the videos of myself off. Okay, so you clear all your feedback from whichever question we asked before a break. And some or most of you are back. I have to honestly say that I forgot before today to look at the feedback you guys gave me in the survey. And I usually make a big point of doing that, but I had so much going on this week that I didn't look. So can you briefly give me a couple of examples of things that you want to learn that you don't know and you want to know how to do? By the time 2 to 4 or 5 of you speak, that will probably cover what you all need. So if no one has said the thing you want, then that's enough. So I don't need to hear from every one of you guys, just things that you don't know yet and that you want to know. There's many things you don't know that you don't know and you wouldn't even know to ask that I'll teach you. But things that you do know you want to do and haven't been able to figure it out. That's kind of what I'd like to know. So anyone? Yeah, Mary Lee says that she's hoping to learn GarageBand. I'm not sure we're going to get to it. I know that the course description says that this iLife class teaches you iPhotos, which doesn't exist anymore, iMovie, GarageBand, and iDVD. Well, iDVD doesn't even exist anymore. GarageBand is a huge program in and of itself to create music. But when this course was set up, the Photos app was just a tiny little Photos app to organize photos. So you could kind of cover everything really briefly. They were all tiny little apps that you could cover. Now each one is its own little beast and has so much to learn that I barely get to iMovie. If I have a huge amount of, like a good percentage, not a huge amount, a good percentage of the students that say they want to learn GarageBand, then I'll make a point of teaching iMovie first, and then maybe the last day doing a little bit of GarageBand, but that's the extent of what we can cover it. So with GarageBand, you make music, okay? So if anyone else has a strong urge to make music, someone else had said that at the beginning, that they had signed in and they wanted to learn GarageBand. It wasn't just you. One other person had said that out loud. So now I need to go see in the survey. Then go ahead and go to the survey again, which you have linked if you haven't yet, and let me know you at GarageBand, and then I'll weigh that against the interests of the whole class and decide. The course is being rewritten right now and it's going through the whole process of being approved again, which is going to take a year or more. It's really slow to get everything to the chancellors and it doesn't include GarageBand anymore. There's just no way to tackle it. So anyway, so I'll do my best if I can fit it in, but I don't promise that one. Handling HEIC images after editing a JPEG. All right. Yes, HEIC images, how to handle, we're going to cover, but I'm not sure what you mean by after editing a JPEG. Can you explain that sentence a little bit more so I can understand what's the real deal? Because they're two different images. So
Well,
let me explain to everyone. Let me explain to everyone really quickly what this is. When you take a photo right now with your iPhone, unless you change the settings, because you can say no, don't save HEIC. But now what the photo phone does is it saves it in this format called HEIC, which I never remember acronyms. Like somebody look it up if you want to see what HEIC stands for. Anyway, and it's a different format of compression than the JPEG that lets the photo become smaller and supposedly still retain its quality, because when a photo becomes smaller with JPEG, it loses some quality. So it's supposed to be a better system than JPEG, but only the iPhone uses that system, or only Apple. They created this format and it's not universal. No one else has HEIC. That said, that's what your phone is doing to your photos, is saving them as HEIC. And a lot of people want to then use the photos in Photoshop or in another place, and they have to then switch them to being, let me share while I'm speaking an example of a photo that's HEIC, right? So this photo that I took here with my phone the other day of my computer, see how it says image 001.HEIC, all right? I also took some raw pictures, which this one will say DNG, but then the majority of photos that are in here are going to end up being JPEGs. And I shoot them raw, but let me give an example of a JPEG. I have a few JPEGs. Most of them are HEICs. This is a PNG. It all depends. I have different formats here because I put little samples of everything, but this must be a JPEG. Okay, so that's a JPEG, GPG. Now, why that matters, for better or for worse, now all applications, since HEIC started a few years ago, now all applications like Photoshop and all that, they handle HEIC just fine, so you don't really need to do a switch. But you can also switch them from HEIC to JPEG, because other people who receive them who don't have Apple's phones might not be able to handle that image. So that's my explanation of HEIC, and I can show you how to change that setting on the phone. But your question now that people know what you're talking about, what we're talking about, what was your question again about after editing?
Well, after I edit the JPEG, it turns it into or saves it automatically as HEIC, and I cannot use that format in adding it to other documents, Word documents or other places where I would be using it.
It doesn't save it again as HEIC unless it started as an HEIC. If it starts as a JPEG, it says as a JPEG, but if it starts as an HEIC, it keeps it as an HEIC. Let me show you rather quickly, and then if you want more of this, I'll tell you. But this is a JPEG, right? So because this is an answer that probably not a lot of people have, but this is a JPEG, so it remains as a JPEG. But let me go find an HEIC, which I had one right here, didn't I? Yeah, here's an HEIC, okay? This one is an HEIC. So what you can do is instead of just dragging it out onto the screen that some people do, which is not a very good way to do it, then if you do that though, I just drag it onto my screen. Let me share my entire screen. What happened is that photo that clearly is an HEIC, you can see that by dragging it onto my desktop, well, it converted into a JPEG. That said, that's not the best conversion, right? That's not the best conversion. It doesn't give you the same file size and everything, but another way would be to go over here to File, Export the photo, and then it can give you choices of how to export it. And then here you can choose, export it as a JPEG or as a TIFF or a PNG, or if you don't want that, then you can export the unmodified photo, and then that gives you an HEIC again, okay? So there's all kinds of ways to be able to create a JPEG out of it before you actually work on it in Word or any other place that you want to. So if you want a deeper explanation of that, I can explain one-on-one. I doubt most people care about that right now. So if someone else cared, I can spend more time on it, but that's it. File, export, choose what you want, or drag it to your desktop.
Okay, I got it. Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. Great question. Anything to do with iCloud, photo storage, and sharing? Cool. we're doing the iCloud, we're doing photo storage. We're going to keep talking about photo storage, and then sharing I haven't talked about. We're going to talk about all of that. So yay, that's good. Fujier, you wrote only to me, but she wrote, I missed how to review, how to find the videos for the past classes. Okay. In fact, if you check the email that I sent last week to the whole class, I have indications and recordings of exactly how to do that. So I didn't review it today, but I can, if you stay behind, I can show you again at the end of class. Thomas, hoping for more photo editing and video editing, especially since you said you can do almost everything that you can do in Photoshop and iMovie. Yes, and let me qualify that. You can do a lot of editing that has to do with color, tone, hue, lighting, that kind of thing. What you cannot do is layer things, right? And create composites and stuff like that. That, of course, is something you would have to do in Photoshop. But yeah, fixing an image from how it used to look to how it looks now, you can do it. But again, you can't really mask things. So say if you have a really bright sun and a really dark landscape, you can't mask it like you would in Photoshop to treat them separately. But you can work on your lights to make them lighter and your darks getting darker. So people who are in my Photoshop classes know what I'm talking about. The rest of you guys, I'll teach you editing. It does a lot. It's not equivalent to Photoshop, but you can do a lot of what most people would want to do on a non-professional basis with this program that we're using. Okay.
Excuse me. How do I get that info like you're looking at right now from my page?
Right. Yeah. So go up here to this little, select a photo and go to this little eye with a circle, get info. You can also do Command I, and that gives you the info window as well. Okay.
Even if I click I don't get the info.
Well, if you click on the eye and you don't have anything selected, you will get a different one. Like if nothing is selected and you click on the eye, then you'll get that. Maybe it's appearing on the side, kind of under zoom, because it doesn't appear on top like mine. It kind of appears here on the side. I'm putting it on top so that it shares with you. But if you have zoom on the other side, it's probably hiding under the zoom. So move other things around and bring it back in.
Okay.
Because it is, that's what opens it. And yeah, it's, I wish it were attached instead of floating, because then when I share my window, I could put it on the side and it would show the whole thing. But since it's floating, I have to basically cover stuff up to show it. So yeah. All right. And then Molly, you're going to have a 90th birthday. Yay. Hooray. By the way, my mom is turning 90 in a few days too. And I'm hoping to be there. Might miss it. I might have to be there a week later, but I will collect photos throughout the years for screen showing. Okay, so you want to make like a little either a video or a slideshow of photos from throughout the years, and then show that during your birthday. I love that, and yes, I can show you how to do that. Perfect. All right. If anything else on the burner that you say, oh well, no one said this, so let me say it now. Then speak now, or what is it? Hold your peace or something like that. Now, if you wrote something in the iLife surveys that I didn't read, I'll go read it over there. Okay, that was a good little smorgasbord of different questions and ideas of what you want. So thanks for that. Now, oops, I have been doing this without my glasses, which is why things were slightly blurry. And now they're dirty, so they're still slightly blurry. Give me a second to clean my glasses. And let's try that again. Aha, now things are better. All right, so I'm going to share this screen with you guys now, which is my Ventura screen. And again, there's only one slight difference that I've been able to find with Ventura for iPhones, photos for Ventura, or photos for one of my older Monterey or Big Sur, and that's that in this application, you can search for duplicates, but before Ventura, you couldn't. And for years, students have said, how can I find duplicates? Well, if you have operating system Ventura, finally, Photos does look for duplicates, okay? So that's a really cool feature that you won't be able to get in Photos until you upgrade to Ventura. And I think most of you guys had said that you were using Ventura. except for Mimi, but I'm not sure. Maybe there's a couple of others, or Mary Lee. I think there's a couple of others who aren't using Ventura. Mary Lee, you were not, right? Oh, yeah, okay. So anyway, again, whenever you weigh whether it's worth it to upgrade or not, or buy a new computer or not, it's these little things that you need to add up and go, okay, they've added up enough, then now it looks like I need to upgrade, or nah, still not important enough. I'm not going to upgrade yet. Your choice. All right. So, oh, and let me qualify. If your computer is quite old, you can't upgrade to Ventura, such as my 2015 iMac that is very powerful, and I do a lot of graphic work on it and whatever. I have souped it up so much that I can still use it for a long time, but I can't upgrade it to Ventura because it's past that line that that Apple has set up for upgrades. So I'm left with Monterey is the newest operating system I'm going to be able to have on that computer. And this laptop, though, I have Ventura, and we keep upgrading through this one. And in that case, I'd rather not change my big computer. I'm fine with it not working yet with Ventura because of other good things it has for me. So,
so Deanna, you going
all
to show us Ventura people how to do that duplicate thing? You know, to,
yes, I will. I'm not there yet, but I will. Mhm.
okay, thanks.
That's why I'm mentioning it. It's crucial and it's important, and that's why I think that's one good reason to change. So right now I'm still in showing you how to find stuff. Everything I showed you up until now was based on time, date and time. And if you have, you know, it happened 5 years ago and you have no idea what day that event happened, then this doesn't really work for you, right? If you know, think about a photo that you'd love from, I don't know, Death Valley, and you go, God, when did I go to Death Valley? Was it 2015? Was it 2017? Was it 2018? I don't know. If you really don't remember because you travel, or maybe you go there a lot, but the photo you want is from one of the trips, then you'd have to check every trip, right? So there must be a better way other than time to search for things. So we've exhausted the time. What else can we do to search for things? Most people's concern is finding stuff, right? So organizing. So that's really what I'm heading towards right now. Now, one thing that I didn't do yet, and let me start my share for a second because I need to change this before I can share. I thought I had changed it on this one. I guess I had changed it on the other one. Give me a second because I want to. I already did in this computer what I want you guys to do now. And I need to thus undo it to be able to redo it. And it takes a few seconds. So there we go. All right, so I'm going to share again. When I told you that I see the titles of the photos, right? And I said, oh, I like this mode because it shows me the titles. Well, guess what? Now my titles are not showing. This is the default setting for this program. The titles do not show. And again, I'm back to library and all photos, okay? So now I do not see the titles of these photos. I do not see little beacons or signs or anything on top of them. I am going to show you the kind of things that we could see, and not only see the metadata over here, but have some more information about this photo other than what it looks like, can be found by viewing the metadata straight on the photo. So I'm going to select one photo, go ahead and select one photo. And if I look at the info for this one, here it is. I have a title, file name, DNG. These are raw files, and I don't want to explain right now what a raw file is, but anyway, it's a photo taken with my iPhone. 12 Pro Max. This is the date it was taken, time it was taken, telephoto camera, all the stuff that I used. This is a people's thing that I'll share with you a bit later, and this is a space. That's it. That's all the information I can find in here. Now there's only one more thing I can do in here that is changeable. And that's say if this is one of my favorite photos or not. If this is one of my favorite photos, say that I looked at it in big and went, oh yeah, this is one of my favorites, then I could choose to click on this little heart right there. A little heart right there. That's one place where I can tip that little heart. If I click again, it turns off. So if you click twice, you're turning it off. Once you turn it on, once you turn it off. So I'm going to turn it on. Notice that the little heart over there also turned on. So that's just because I went, oh, this is one of my favorite photos ever. Okay. Go down. Then I look at this one and go, oh my God, this is a great photo. Well, if I want to mark it as a great photo over here, right now, I can't do that. I could go up here to the little heart right there, or I could go, I'm going to turn it off from there, or I could go again into the info. But if you don't have the info open, because a lot of times people don't have the info open, then that might be a place to do it. Okay. Well, there's other ways to do it too. So right now I'm showing you this one. But if you were to show other metadata, you might be able to do it straight on the photo itself. Now, just quickly to tell you what happens when you put a little heart on them, you are labeling them a favorite, and then over here on the left, see where there's a little heart next to favorites, you click on that, and any photos that you have labeled favorites appear. And it looks like in the past I've labeled others favorites, and the last two that I labeled favorites, here they are, right? These are the two that I just showed you that I labeled favorites. So that's what happens. You can see them here. This is not a duplicate. This is nothing to do with repeating the photo again and again. All this is an organizational thing where I want to be able to isolate from my 500 photos, the ones that I put a little heart on them. And so it's an album created by Apple, not by me, that automatically gathers anything that I've given a little heart to. I'm going to go back to my library. The photo is still here. These photos have not changed or been duplicated, just that if I want to see them isolated from all the other riffraff, I can see them over here. Okay. So I'm going to go back to the library to see them all again. Now, if I want to see more metadata and an easier way to see all those hearts and stuff, I would go up to, and for this, I need to share my entire screen again. So let me share my entire screen. Okay. So what I need to do is I need to go up to the Apple icon right there. And on the right, it has to say photos. If it doesn't say photos, it's because maybe you clicked on the background here and it says Finder, or maybe you clicked on some part of Zoom because you were turning on some information for Zoom and stuff like that. So then it might say Zoom. Click on a photo, any photo, and it will now be lit up again and it will say photos up there. Okay. Once it says photos, this is a repetitive process, which is kind of uncomfortable. But what we're going to do is we're going to go to view. It needs to be the photos view, not any other view. Go to view. And then down here, it says metadata. So what we're going to do is we're going to make sure that we end up with check marks on all of these words. Right now, I only have check marks on one. How do I turn a check mark on? By selecting it. I'm going to click on titles and boom, titles appear. When I go back to photos metadata, then see how what I had done by doing that is giving it a check mark. If I were to click on it again, I'd be turning it off. See, they're going away. So don't click on it twice because now you have to click on it again to turn it on, right? Once it's there, go to view and go to the next metadata item, which is keywords. Turn that one on. Then go to edit it and turn that one on. And so on and so forth. You're going to do this all the times necessary until every single one of these has a check mark on them. So now favorite. And see, now that I did favorite, suddenly the heart appears right here. And it's easier to see which one I have favorited. And now I'm down to the last one, which is location. Cool. So now if I go to metadata, I have every single one of these has a check mark. That's the end product. That's what I need you to do. So go ahead and for those of you who haven't turned it on some other time, if you haven't been in my class, you've already done it. But if you haven't been in my class and this is the first time you see this information, go do that. One by one until you have check marks on all of them. You can also go over here and click on show face names. And I haven't told you this in the past. You can turn this one on. Once it's been clicked, when you look at it again, now it's switched to hide, which means if you click on this again, you will hide them, right? So go ahead and go back to show and leave it in that mode. There's other things we can see and do, but yeah. So what else? Always search bar and sidebar. Okay, so we're fine. That's what we need. All right. I'm going to assume that it's done. It's a slow process, but if you haven't finished, keep going at it. Turn all that metadata. Many of you have done this already. So I'm going to move forward. What was the advantage of turning them on? Well, I'm going to start looking at my photos now. And first of all, when I hover over a photo, I get a little empty heart. And it's best to see it in these darker photos. It's a bit harder to see it in the lighter photo there. But yeah, that one is hard to see. But see how easy it is to see in the dark. As it only appears when my mouse hovers over a photo. I'm not clicking. If I select the photo, nothing happens it. But if I select the heart right there, I have given it a heart. So this is a quicker way to make it a favorite. And if I don't want it again, I turn it off. Now be careful. Now that this is on, when you select a photo, don't select from there, because this might be a photo that's not your favorite, but you selected it like that. And what you did is you made it a favorite. Got it? So avoid this tiny little corner, select it from anywhere else, but not that exact little corner. So when you do want it, you click on it. So right now I clicked on one more, which is that one. If I go to the favorites and there it is. Here's my little one that I just checked. By the way, once it's in this mode, you'd think, because I'm going to teach you how to move them, this is still guided by time, right? So I can't move it. This photo was taken earlier than that one, so I can't necessarily move it to another spot. There's other albums that I'll be able to move, but this one is stuck there. That's just how it is. All right. So that was just one advantage, that you can actually click on the heart really quickly. That's a cool advantage, because then every time you look at your photos, maybe you only look at the last 30 photos, but sometimes you're looking at 500 photos. And then you go, oh God, where was that good one? Well, it was really easy. Just had you clicked on it as you were looking at them, then that's all you need to do to then later be able to find them. From the thousands of photos, you'll find them right here. And there's a last two that I just checked because I've isolated them. Now, what you can't do here though, is grade them in, well, yeah, these are my favorites, but this is better than a favorite. It's top or best. Or yeah, this is a favorite, but not so favorite. You know, so basically all you have here is a heart. So you can only grade it in one way, right? So we're going to create better ways to grade photos where you truly put like top and best and whatever, like absolutely incredibly best, which might be what right now Molly wants to do, because she just said she's going to collect photos throughout the years for her 90th birthday. So she wants not just when she goes around putting in hearts, she might end up with 2,000 photos. Well, 2,000 photos you're not going to show in a show. So then you have to go, well, what's the best of these 2,000, right? So I'm going to show you a way to then kind of keep isolating until you get the ones that are absolutely the best. And for the most part, that's going to involve either keywords or albums. Those are the two things that we are going to be able to handle to truly organize and isolate our photos. But for now, hopefully you've put your little heart on enough things that you have some stuff under favorites. Now, so that's a simple example of an album. Now, it's not an album created by me. It's an album created by Apple. It sits there as pre-made. And then down here, I have the word albums. And here I'll have albums also pre-made by Apple, and then my albums. Under my albums, we're going to create albums that we want to choose. So for example, we can have an album there called 90th birthday, right? And start making the best photos that I want in there. But there's other ways, so I'm just going to show you that in a minute. Right now, I'm still showing you what Apple sets for you, okay? Everything already comes in ready to go. Later, I'll begin to show you how we add what you can't do without, Apple, as I said, can tell you certain things, but it can't discover amongst the 10 photos of the bride which is the one that you, the mom, prefer because that smile really looks like her and it doesn't look forced. Apple doesn't know. Both of them are smiling, right? So that's where your brain comes in and chooses the right one. All right, but Apple can easily isolate the day of the wedding, the place of the wedding, you know, the hour of the wedding when they were, you know, saying the I do's. You can do that with metadata, but you can't choose which is the best smile. That's still a human. All right. So, so let's head over here to the top and let me share again just the photos, right? It's better if I don't show the whole thing so that you see things a little bit more, more, what do you call it? You don't see all the riffraff of the rest of my desktop. Okay, so then, so now you've seen what favorites does. Now, if you have added, or you or anyone who took the photo has left the automatic feature of recording the position in the world, right? The GPS coordinates where it was photographed, your phone does that automatically, unless you turn that feature off. If you've turned the feature off, then it won't show. But if you've left the feature on, then you can click here on places. And this is another automatic organizing feature that is offered based on metadata. The first one was based on time, date, month, place. This one is based on places. So say that I want to go see the photos of Taos. Well, I look over here and it looks like I have 27 pictures of New Mexico. So I can go and click on that. And here are the 27 pictures of New Mexico, right? So I quickly was able to jump to my New Mexico photos, right? In my places. And this is, I'm gonna back out with this arrow and say, well, now I want to see the photos of Arizona. It looks like I have 16 photos in Arizona. I click on that and boom, it shows my pictures of Arizona. Now these are pictures from different years. This is from 2019, from a trip in 2019. This is from this year. The only time you don't see the year is when it's the same year you're living in. If it only says January 8th, it's because it's 2023. Next year, when it's 2024, this one will say January 8th, 2023, right? So it gives you the year when it's older, but if it just says that, it's because we just took it this year. This was this trip, this January's trip, all right? So, good. So back out, photos of New York, and here we go. This is the photo that Yolanda shared with me quite a few years ago. I didn't know that they were in New York, but I wouldn't have searched it by place, but there it is. It was taken in New York because the location was selected. If I open my info, this is what I'm talking about, right? I'll click on this one specifically. This one is in Central Park. Click on this one. It was in the Met Fifth Avenue. Click on this one, and again, Central Park. Okay, so this is giving me precise locations. Now, you didn't have to do this. The computer did this. As I said, if your photo does not have a location-based recording, then it doesn't appear. So, for example, let me go to these older ones. This didn't have location-based, right? Any one of you, old-time student of mine, do you recognize what this place is? I have some of you guys tell me, speak out loud. What is this place? Is anyone speaking unmuted or is it just me? Oh, there we go.
Awake Center?
It's a class. It's a computer lab somewhere in a school.
Yeah, and people who've been my students for a long while recognize it as the computer lab that I teach in when I teach in person at the Wake campus, room number 3, right? And some of you guys met me in that time. Others of you have just met me and you didn't know, but it's very distinctive. Yet this one is a photo with no location, right? Now, how do I change that? Well, I can click here in the metadata and I can assign a location. So I can say Wake Center. And if this computer per se doesn't have location services turned on, that doesn't help, right? Because it's not enough information. So then I'm going to go Goleta, and then it goes Goleta, United States, right? Or if I put, Montecito, it'll find however many Montecitos there are, in this case, Montecito in California. But if I did have the location base turned on this computer, then had I said Wake Center, that would immediately have given me exactly the spot of the Wake Center. So what I'm going to do instead, I'm going to put the address, which is 300 North Turnpike, comma, oh, and it's already giving me the only option. And I'm going to click on that, and boom. Now this has Selmer Wake Continuing Education Center, Santa Barbara, California, United States. It found it. Does that make sense? This didn't come, but since I know where it is, I was able to get to give it an assigned location. All right. Now there's other things that are happening here. I'm seeing a little thing that says unnamed. We're going to talk about that. But for now, I just wanted to show you how I can add a location to a photo. There's other ways to add it. Let me see if there's another photo here that is unlabeled as far as location. I think I've been using so many of these for samples that I've labeled almost all of them. So here's a cat, right? I don't know where this cat was taken, but let's say that it was taken in, I don't know, where could I have taken this? You guys give me a location for this cat. Invent it.
Your
Where would
house,
you want this
maybe.
cat? What's that?
Maybe in your house.
Well, I don't particularly want all my students to know where I live, so maybe choose another place that's not my personal address.
Wow.
Mhm.
Send
That's-
it to our Humane Society.
Yeah.
What's that? Oh, poor thing. It's at the Humane Society. Okay. So yes, I can use that, or I can go up as we went before. Remember that we had gone to image location, right? And I can use that, but actually that's wrong. I can't do that now that I think about it, because this photo doesn't have location. So no, I won't be able to add it here. Okay. So then this is the place to add it. So I'm going to say Humane Society. Oh, Society of the United States. That's humongous, right? But we live in Santa Barbara, and I write Santa Barbara, and look, it found the address, 5399 Overpass Road. I click on it, and there it is. That's correct. So as long as you get near enough, it'll find the spot. Now, it also works. Let's say that instead of there, I'm going to change that. And let's say that instead of in that place, maybe it was at a recognized restaurant. I don't know. Well, cats and restaurants don't really match, but let's name, I don't know, Pascucci. So I'm going to say Pascucci. And when I write Pascucci's, how many Pascucci's restaurants there are there in the entire country? It looks like it went straight to this one, 509 State Street, right? So it understands how to find things that have, well-known names. Now, if I were to have written Macy's, well, there's Macy's everywhere, right? But if I say Macy's, Macy's, comma, Santa Barbara, then it would find it at 701 State Street, right? So you have to be a little bit careful. And so at Paseo Nuevo, even though actually it's closed, but anyway. Got it? So that's how you would assign locations. I'm going to delete it to not have a location on that one, but that's what it needs, a location for this to work, to find it. Now that I don't have a location on that one, that cat doesn't appear in this map. Now I have 381 photos that appear in this area. If I zoom in a little bit, it becomes a bit more detailed. And instead of having 381, it gives me 3 over here, 16 over there, 2 over there, right? All of those that appeared in that area. And I keep zooming in, and then I discover that, I had 3 here in that area, et cetera, et cetera. So how am I doing this? You can either do it with your fingers on the touchpad by stretching out your fingers to zoom out or zoom in. I'm doing like that. Or I can use these little plus and minus right there to zoom in and zoom out that are down here at the bottom. And then I can approach and say, well, okay, I want to see more exactly. They're all in LA, but what part of LA? So as I approach, I discover that the photos were taken in different parts of LA. Okay. Anyway, that's how to do location based. And then when I click on LA, there it is. This is when we were actually pure downtown. All right. Did that work for you? Any questions about how to use this and how to add location based? Did it work for you? If so, give me a yes. If it didn't work and you have a question, give me a no. It seems to me that you guys have very few questions. And so A, either you're all intimidated because there are few questions, or B, I'm explaining things so well that you actually have no questions.
It's B, you're
Let's-
explaining things so well, Diana. Molto bene.
You know,
Thank
I'd
you.
like to believe that, but I also know that when people have questions, people ask more questions. When no one asks a question, people feel intimidated and ask less questions. And so I'm kind of wanting to make sure you know that you can ask questions. I want them. Yes, Yolanda?
Yes, you explained very well. Now, on the location, so if you are in several countries, like you are in 5 continents,
Mhm.
I see that, but this one that you have been showing to us is like, you can see so much of like, but it was, seems to me like in one country. Now, is that the same thing for?
Let me share, because I was about to show you how to do it in the phone, but the phone is going to be even smaller. So let me send it here. Over here, places, you can make it as big as you want. So most of my photos, most of my photos came from this area, but if I get smaller, you'll see that I have photos here from Buenos Aires because I have photos from that. And I used to put in some sample photos that my sister took in Europe, but I didn't put them in there. But if you have photos, I know that your family, you go a lot to the Philippines. If you have photos taken theirs, you would see them there. If I make the, the smaller I make this, then I can click and drag. And yeah, they appear wherever they were taken. My sample photos, that's the only photos I have. North America and South America. But yeah, you can just make the map bigger or smaller and you should see them. Okay, so you go to places and make your map smaller and head over to the Philippines, and yeah, you'll see that as long as the camera recorded the space, or as long as you added it, then they're going to appear here in Southeast Asia or in Alaska or wherever else you took them. Greenland, Iceland, whatever. Okay, so yeah, good question. I had zoomed in to this area because this is where we live, and the more you zoom in, the more it isolates. Like when I'm really far away, it looks like there's only 4 places I took my photos in. But as I start approaching, it spreads out and it starts showing me that I took those in many different places in the United States, right? And then the further in I go, let me say I'm going to go in to see Santa Barbara, then over here, it becomes even more isolated. Hold on, I didn't get it bigger, and even bigger. And there you go. So now look, it's all over Santa Barbara. The photos are everywhere, okay? Because I've zoomed in enough, but now it's showing me the real detail of where these photos were taken. Yeah?
Question. So back to Molly's question about
Even more.
or something. So you thought about the favorites, so we can just gather what, let's say, what she would wanted for her birthday, 90th birthday from the favorites, or are you going to tell us more about how?
Yeah, we're going to talk about more. Yeah, so the favorites is just a quick initial way, but there's many other ways where you can be more discerning, right? And so the heart is good, but it doesn't discern between better and best, or best because I love this photo, but not because it's the one I want to use for my screen show. It just puts them all under one place. So it's good, but we're going to go even deeper. Nobody's in here that Dorothy asked, can photos be imported from CDs? Yes, as long as it's a photo that you import to your computer and then you import into, as long as the format is a JPEG, like a format that it accepts, which is, for example, a JPEG, which is probably what you have, then yes, you can import them into here. Let me head back in here and notice that the more I approach, the more detailed it gets, in that it shows me that this is my graduation. Whoops, this is the graduation of my kid from the junior high. This is the graduation of my kid from Santa Barbara High School. And this is actually in the field, the how do you call it? The football field of the high school, because this whole thing is the high school. So then that was taken by the flagpole and this was taken in the football field. So it gets really detailed, right? As you keep going in, then this one was taken when I was at the flagpole, this one was taken inside the school, and this was taken in the auditorium. So the more you zoom in, the more very precise and detailed that it gets. And as you zoom out, then it kind of reduces it to just generalities, okay? Because it doesn't have space. All right, I'm going to share my phone. I see, Mimi, you have a question, but hold on. I'm going to go back to share so people can explore this, and then I'll take more questions. How do you do this that I just showed you? How do you find favorites and places on your phone? Okay, so here we are. We've got your phone. And you know why this would be good? Say someone says, oh, you know, I was just traveling and I'm going to Death Valley tomorrow, right? And you go, oh my God, I have some great photos of Death Valley. Let me show you, right? But you don't remember if you went 2021 or in 2022 or in 2018. You just want to show your photos of Death Valley to this person who's going to go tomorrow. Or they might say, show me that tree that you're talking about, or, you know, you want to. So then you head over to your phone because you met them on the streets and you don't have your computer. And where you would go is into this albums right there. Click on albums. And under albums, you will see, for example, your favorites album. So what you're going to do, say you only have 18 photos and you put in all your grandson, your grandkids in here, you click on favorites and oh, look, instead of looking through all your photos, you're just showing your favorites, right? So that's a quick way to, you know, show off, not show off in a bad way, but show your last few things that you've enjoyed. Then let's get out of that album, back out with this arrow. And now let's find other albums. And I'm going to go down here. And here's the places one. So I'm going to click on the places one. And I'm going to go, yeah, you know, with my fingers, I'm zooming in and I'm going to go, God, you should go see this amazing door that I photographed in Taos, right? So I put my finger on Taos. Let me back out a little bit more because I need to do with my arrow. So I go over to Taos, I zoom in a little bit more, and then I go here, this is where I wanted to show you that. And you click on it, and there it is. These are the doors I photographed, and actually this was in Santa Fe, not in Taos. Okay, but you were able to find it quickly, not because of date, but because of place. And now you go, there you go. This is the door that I took that was so cute that I just wanted to show you because look at the wreath or whatever it is that you wanted to say, right? So on your phone, you can zoom in and out as well. And you can go, oh, let me go the photos in Argentina. Here, this is the last photo I took in Argentina, and you click on that. And then you see any photos taken in Argentina. Does that make sense? And so if you travel to Argentina, there are your Argentina photos. If you travel to New York, in my case, I'll just go over here and go, oh yeah, when I went with Vicky to New York, I remember we took a picture in Central Park. So then I go over here and I click on this, and these are the pictures from Central Park. Pretty useful way to find photos on your computer, by time, by date, by month, or by place, or by you having said that it was your favorite. Okay, so this is it. This is how you do that. So down here again in the bottom, when I've told you to look at libraries and all photos, libraries, all photos, that gives you every single photo by date. Albums becomes organizational stuff that you do. And right now, the only ones I've practiced or shown you is the favorites or the places. But as you can see, there's more, and we're going to keep exploring those. But right now, those are the two that you explore. When you're done and you want to go back to the regular photos to show you all your photos again, you just go click on this little library, boom, and you're back to all your photos. All right. So I'm going to click my feedback. By the way, those of you who have iPads, go check all of this on your iPads because exactly the same thing I'm showing you on my iPhone is available on your iPad. Okay, so if everyone is able to find a photo by place, please go ahead and say yes. And more importantly, if you know that you have taken some pictures at the top of, I don't know, Mount Fuji in Japan, and you don't seem to find them in the map, that means that they need to have an assigned location. So then you go by time, you find your photos of Mount Fuji, you select them all, and you assign a location and say Mount Fuji, Japan, and boom, next time you look at places, you go straight to those photos, right? So now you know how to assign locations in case you forgot how to assign locations. Any questions? Anything that is or isn't working? No. And again, I'm showing you also how to do it on the phone. In the past, I only showed people how to do it on the computer, but most people have their phones with them all the time. You're sitting at the doctor's office with not much to do. Well, maybe you get around and start assigning some locations, right? To photos, because you didn't do it when you were sitting around at home because you had better things to do.
Diana, I have a question. Mine doesn't show like yours at the bottom, the days, month.
So what phone do you have? What model?
I mean, Monterey.
No, this is my phone. So my phone, you could have an iPhone 6, an iPhone 10, an iPhone 13. What kind of iPhone do you have? Because I'm only showing this on the phone, not on the computer. On the computer, you find it up on top. Phone days.
I see. So if I go to iPhone, then I will show at the bottom.
Yeah,
That's
this that I just shared, that was my iPhone. Yeah.
Okay.
That was my iPhone.
Yeah.
As soon as you
got
said
it.
Monterey, that gave me a cue that you were thinking differently. Okay,
Thank
great.
you.
Cool. So now let's looking at the time. There's like 8 minutes left of the class. We're gonna do one that's a bit more intricate next week, which has to do with people and a few other things like that. But a popular one, hopefully, will be the duplicates. So I'm gonna just show you that, and then your homework is to spend this whole week looking for and getting rid of duplicates. So remember, if you have Ventura, you can do this. If you don't have Ventura, you can just twiddle your fingers and wait, because you have to find them by eyesight, okay? Before Ventura, there was no quick way to show duplicates. So as long as you have Ventura, oh, Mimi, you had raised your hand. I'm sorry, and I hadn't called you. So yeah, can you ask me your question before I continue with duplicates?
Well, I just was in my phone and I noticed that my iPhone has duplicates and it had like 40 of them. So
yeah, so that's a good point. Even if your computer, good example of using your phone. If your computer is old and hasn't upgraded to Ventura, you might have a newer phone. If you have a newer phone, not even newer. I mean, I'm not sure about 06. Go check. Someone said that they had an iPhone 6. Go ahead and check and see if in that one it works. But other than that, for sure, anything 10 and up, would, or even 8 and up, but 10 and up, you can find the duplicates, right? So, so if you don't have it like Mimi, she doesn't have Ventura, then do the same thing, but in your phone, because that will have the duplicates feature. Okay, so over here under the photos, head down, and right there at the bottom of this list, almost at the bottom, there's duplicates. Click on duplicates. As simple as that. On your phone, if you have your phone next to you, go to albums. And when you scroll down, you'll see very much almost at the bottom where it says utilities, you'll see the duplicates feature. For those of you who don't have Ventura, so you can follow along with what I'm doing, let me shift just temporarily to share the phone, because there's enough of you guys that don't have Ventura that I want to show you. So in the phone, you're going to go down here to albums, same place we were before. And then this is where you start with albums. You scroll all the way down to the phone, and way at the bottom, and it can't go down anymore. There's the duplicates on your phone. Okay. So now I'm going to keep explaining this on the Mac, but for those of you who don't have Ventura, now that's how you're going to find it on, that's how you're going to find it on your phone to follow along with the class. Let me reshare my phone, not my phone, my computer. So to be clear, I'm on my computer now, not my phone. I just pointed to the phone, but I'm on my computer. And here on the left side, there's duplicates. All right. So you might have 1, 2, or 500,000. Who knows, right? Especially if you have thousands and thousands of photos from a long time ago. People who were using iPhotos, and you know the question that Yolanda had before break, if you were using iPhotos, which she was, which means you were using already this program, say 8 years ago, 10 years ago, I don't know, when iPhotos started, every time it updated, it was pretty bad about keeping track, and it did create a lot of duplicates. And at that time, we had to hand transfer photos, and we sometimes might not notice that we'd already transferred them, and we'd transfer them again, and the program would accept them, and then you had duplicates, triplicates, and oh my God, I've even had quintuplets of a photo sometimes, right? It can get pretty crazy. So in this little sample album, I only have a few because I purposely put a few, but I expect that if you have a new-ish use of the photos album, that you might even not have any duplicates. But for people who have even a few years of using this, duplicates were a thing. So how do you search through them? Definitely put your info window nearby, because you don't want to just trust automatically to merge them at first. You just want to first find out if it's right. So if I think it's the same one and I click merge two items, they turn into one. But before I do that, I want to select each one and check the metadata, right? And I'm going to look at this one. And then when I click on the next one, I want nothing to have changed. Did something change between this one and this one? Yeah. Because I went to this one a bit earlier today and I added a location. Other than that, though, it's exactly the same one taken on April 6, 2002 at 11:46 and 44. Let me see. Yep. April 6, 2012, not 2, 11:46, 44. Then I look over here and it says it has 432 by 324. I go look at this one, same number. Here it says 38 KB and here it says 38 KB. So in everything else, this is the exact identical photo. So yes, it qualifies as a duplicate, but this one has one little extra bit of information. All right. So then, sorry, my phone was ringing at me, warning me that class is almost over. I have 1 minute to go, so I'm going to go quickly through this. I know y'all have to do something. If I merge these two, I'm not going to lose that. I'm going to get one that includes that. Like it won't delete things that are extra or added. It'll just, my one that it makes will keep all the information that's the same and any information that's added. Does that make sense? So if I'm ready for these two to merge, all I need to do is click on this little merge two items and they will become one. And immediately when I do that, they'll disappear from here because they won't be a duplicate anymore. They'll just be gone. And I will find them later inside of the regular library and I will see only one of them, right? Now here I see both of them, this one and this one. When I go to duplicates, the moment I merge them, I'll have one. Now I can't merge them in front of you guys because I need to keep some here to keep showing this and I'm almost out of duplicates. So go ahead and do that, you guys, to one or the other and tell me if there's anything that once you decide to merge them and you click on the merge two items, tell me if you get some weird message that you want and you have a question about.
Deanna?
Yeah.
What if one is a scan and one is a JPEG?
Exactly. Right now I said, if you find them to be identical, other than location, go ahead and merge them. But sometimes they're not identical, right? So this one and this one look like the same photo. And in fact, they are of the exact same moment. They are the same photo. If I look at the time, it says May 30, 2016, 7:59:48. I click on this one, May 30, 2016, 7:59:48. It's the exact same photo taken at the exact same split second. But one big important thing happens here. This one says 2250 and the times 3000 pixels. 1 point is megabytes. Look at that number. Now I'm going to click on this one. 3000 by 4000, 2.5 megabytes. See how different this number is from this one? Now this becomes a problem because this means that maybe this, the big one, is the original photo, which was renamed, but it's got all the information that came with the camera so that I can print it bigger. It's a bigger file size. And this one was probably a photo, maybe that was texted to someone or maybe uploaded to Facebook and then downloaded again. Something was done to this one that is reduced the pixels. This is pixels numbers. Thus, when you have less pixels number, the file is smaller. And so if I wanted to print an 11 by 14 of this one, and I throw that one away, it might be that I can't print 11 by 14 than this one. I have to maybe print only a 5 by 7 because there's less information versus this one would have given me a good 11 by 14. So I don't want to throw the big one away. So this one, I would either choose not to merge, or when I do say merge to items, so watch what's going to happen. I'm going to say merge to items, and it's going to say the selected items appear to be the same, but they may have unique resolutions, file formats, or other slight differences. Merging will keep one version of the duplicate that combines the highest quality and relevant data, and they will move the other one to the recently deleted. So it's telling me that if it has to choose between these two, it's going to keep the big one. As long as I'm satisfied with that, then I can go ahead and say, okay, merge. Again, I need to keep the sample, so I'm not going to merge, but it's telling you it's going to keep the biggest one. Yay, that's good. That necessarily doesn't talk about scans, but it does talk about biggest file size, which is really what matters.
I meant screenshot.
Now,
Scan.
what's that?
I meant screenshot because I used to do that a lot because I didn't really realize the difference.
Yeah, so I'm going to see if I have a screenshot here that's duplicate. I don't. I've already said okay, but sometimes you have a photo that you received, someone sent to you, and it's beautiful. They sent you the full photo, but you didn't download the photo. You just did a quick screenshot of it. So it's exactly the same photo, identical, because this was the actual photo and this is a screenshot. But the second one is really tiny. That'll give it away. Very few pixels. And over here, it'll actually have the name screenshot to it. Let me show you what a screenshot looks like. Give me a second. I'll show you some screenshots. When I go to an info, I'm selecting the screenshot. It says screenshot 2021, and it saves it as a PNG, not as a JPEG, not as an HEIC. It says a PNG. So that tells you it's a screenshot, and it's got very few pixels. Look, 236 by 344. Screenshots have very few pixels. This is a bit bigger because it's from a better phone, so it has more pixels, but still it has very few pixels, right? And in this case, it doesn't say it's a screenshot in this case, but it tells me it's a PNG. So those are giveaways. If I had two of these, then it would duplicate them. So let me give you one more example of what I'm saying about screenshots. Let me go back here to my library. I'm going to take my phone and I'm going to share my phone with you guys. And I know that class is over, so if you need to go. This is just a little extra showing thing. I'm going to take this phone right now, and I'm going to do a screenshot of this exact page. Boom. I just did a screenshot. Now I'm going to wait 5 or 6 or 7 seconds. I'm not sure, maybe a minute. It's the exact same screen. I don't know, a little bit has passed. Okay, I'm going to do another screenshot. That's the exact same thing. Nothing moved. So that is going to appear as two separate photos, right? Because it's exactly identical. So let me go down here to duplicates and see if it appears, right? Nope, they don't appear. But if I go into my libraries, there they are. And you'd think, let me go back to my libraries. You'd think, right, that this photo is identical to that one. These are screenshots. Why is it not appearing in duplicates? The fact that I took them about 15 seconds apart, the metadata sees that they are a different, see, this one here is telling me it was taken at 350. Well, this one isn't actually qualifying. And this one, it still says 350, but It's not, but if I were to actually go to adjust, it would give me the actual seconds. It says at 3:47 p.m. If I look at this one, it was taken at 3:50 at 0.30 seconds p.m. So there's 15 seconds difference. That is enough for the computer not to consider it a duplicate because the metadata is different. Does that make sense? So if you take 2 photos of the same moment, you might have moved a little bit. So that's not considered a duplicate. Or even in screenshots, if I didn't take it instantly, it might be 2 seconds apart. It's still not a duplicate. The only thing that will appear under duplicates is actually things that qualify as identical to the metadata. All the metadata, it thinks will be identical. But sometimes they make a mistake, or sometimes there's other differences, and that's the ones that we're exploring. Okay, so that's enough for today. I want you guys to go explore your duplicates and make decisions by looking at the metadata. And if it looks like, yeah, these 2 are the same, just go ahead and merge them. If they're not the same, but it's the same moment, and you know it's the same moment, the time is exactly identical, but one is bigger than the other, then merge them because it'll keep the big one. Okay, so hopefully if you started with, I have 18 duplicates here. By the time I'm done, I have no more, but if you have like 5,000 duplicates, maybe by next week, you might be down to 1,000 duplicates that you have questions about. Just tackle it slowly and soon you'll be out of duplicates. All right.
Yeah,
And you can do it. And as you can see, you can also do it on your phone while you're waiting in line or something. Because,
so Diana, if it's not if it's the same information, you can delete one, right?
Yeah, no, you won't delete it. You won't delete it. What you'll do, no, it's not the same. What you'll do, if it's exactly the same, if this one is identical to this one, they're both identical, then click on merge 2 items. Don't trash them or delete them. Click on this little button that says merge 2 items. And it says, these are exact copies. Merging will keep one version, so the same message, merge 2 exact copies. Once I click on that, that is going to keep one and delete the other. So let the system do it for you because it'll choose the biggest and the best one. Okay. So don't trash this one, hit merge, and then you won't make a mistake and get the smallest one or the biggest one. The computer will do that for you. Okay. All right. Sorry for keeping you a little bit later. Go play with your photos, get rid of your duplicates, and we'll keep learning next week.
thank you.
Bye.
Bye.